Attention, all Earthbound gamers. Ness is in trouble. He needs your help to defeat Gigagas, and in order to do this, he's going to need his trusty bat and a couple of burgers. To help him, all he needs is your credit card number, the expiration month and year, and the 3 digits on the back. But you have to be fast, though, before Gigagas finishes his plan to take over O-Net.
Earthbound Beginnings, or Mother in Japan, is the first entry into the Mother series. Set in the year of 1980X, it tells the story of how 80 years ago, a couple, George and Maria, were abducted by aliens. While being held captive, George and Maria actually helped raise one of the alien species, Gigas. Yes, that Gigas. Yet George was able to escape and return to Earth, bringing with him his newfound knowledge of PSI, which he studied from the alien species. Once the alien species realized that George had stolen vital information, they sent Gigas to invade Earth to prevent humans from using the PSI powers against them. 80 years later, George and Maria's grandson, Ninten, is tasked with saving the world from Gigas and needs all the help he can get. Lloyd is the first permanent party member. Although he's not able to use any PSI abilities, he is very intelligent, but suffers from very low self-esteem. But after being convinced that Ninten does not want to do him any harm, Ninten manages to get him a bottle rocket. Lloyd takes him down to the lab room of the school in an attempt to reproduce even more rockets, but it ultimately fails with the experiment, which instead ends in a huge explosion. The two become fast friends, and although Lloyd is still rather shy, he eventually proves his courage to not only his friends but to himself by having a hand in saving the world. And if you want to prove your courage to your friend and have a hand in help saving the world, be sure to subscribe to my channel for a plethora of gaming related content. This is my theory on why Lloyd is more important than you think he is. Lloyd is depicted as a stereotypical nerdy person, being both shy and intelligent and often bullied by his fellow classmates, usually found hiding in trash cans while at school. But after becoming friends with Ninten, Lloyd decides to join in on Ninten's quest. Standing 4 feet 10 inches, with gray hair, a freckled face, and black rimmed round glasses with opaque lenses that obscure his eyes, Lloyd is the only party member that is actually needed to complete Earthbound Beginnings, since he is needed to access all of the areas of Marysville and is needed to access Eve. Although his wisdom stat is very high, which allows him to easily make use of items, especially bottle rockets, he is unable to use any PSI abilities. Growing up, Lloyd displayed introverted qualities, not letting anyone besides his mother be affectionate toward him, as well as being very interested in his idol, Albert Einstein. While he was still very young, he read a book by him on the subject of the theory of relativity, which became one of his most treasured possessions as he grew up. Lloyd is shown to have a strong liking for science, mainly mechanics, as he is seen to be able to activate industrial rockets and navigate military tanks. One of his fellow schoolmates also mentions how she thinks Lloyd will grow up to become a computer engineer. During his adventure, his main weapons in-game, only being usable by him, are guns, while also experimenting with mechanical objects, as can be seen in the game when he tries to reproduce a bottle rocket. When he was 8 years old, he was near completion of a time machine that he had been working on, also being dedicated to Einstein. He announced it to everyone in his class, but due to his frequent exposure to bullying, he hid in a trash can while making the announcement and was barely heard by anyone. During the events of Earthbound Beginnings, Lloyd is forced to prove to his friends just how brave he has become, when Teddy forces Lloyd to stay behind because he is weak. Lloyd comes back with guns blazing by bringing a veteran's tank to help destroy the giant robot that has injured Ninten and the others. Eventually, after collecting all of the 8 melodies and helping Queen Mary regain her memories, the party is teleported back to the gravestone at Mount Itoi, and a cave that previously was blocked by rocks appears to be enterable. Inside of the cave, the trio finally get to meet Gigas, the creature that has caused all of the horrible things that have occurred throughout the game. They manage to defeat Gigas by singing the melodies they have learned throughout their journey, which is revealed to be his weakness. After being unable to handle their singing, he admits defeat and flies off. Before Gygas leaves, however, he vows that they will meet again, and the party knows that they must be ready for when he decides to come back. So, what if Lloyd, after fighting and defeating Gygas, having proved his strength and courage, not only to Ninten, Anna, and Teddy, but also to himself, decides to devote himself to science, trying to learn all that he can so that he will be prepared when Gygas returns, creating invention after invention trying to perfect his craft, eventually obtaining a doctorate in science, and building a lab in Winters. And what if Lloyd's last name was Andonuts? That's right. I'm theorizing that because of the events of Earthbound Beginnings and everything Lloyd had to go through that caused him not only to gain confidence in himself, but also have a hand in saving the world, is none other than Dr. Andonuts from Earthbound. The inventor of the Skyrunner, Dungeon Man, and the Phase Distorter, which could actually be the time machine he was working on as a boy, that allows SNES and company, including his son Jeff, to travel back in time to stop Gygas, the same universal cosmic destroyer that his father fought 19 years ago. Sounds too far-fetched, doesn't it? Well, let's look at some facts that will help back this up. First of all, both Dr. Andonuts and Lloyd like to hide in trash cans. I know that's not much to start off with, but I have better evidence. If you look at pictures of Lloyd and Dr. Andonuts, Lloyd looks like a younger version of the Doctor, both having gray hair and black rimmed round glasses. And although Dr. Andonuts doesn't fight in Earthbound, his son Jeff does. And what weapon does Jeff use? Bottle rockets. Just like Lloyd. Dr. Andonuts probably saw that Jeff was a lot like himself when he was younger, and while not being able to use PSI, made sure that he was very intelligent, so instead of learning how to use normal weapons for Earthbound standards, like baseball bats and yo-yos, Jeff learns how to enhance items like bottle rockets. But Taylor, Lloyd is only 11 during the events of Earthbound Beginnings, and in 1980X, that would mean that Dr. Andonuts is 21 in 1990X when Earthbound takes place, meaning that Dr. Andonuts had Jeff when he was only 8. The math doesn't add up. Oh, okay. First of all, wow. Sit down, and let's look at this again. Here's even more evidence. Earthbound Beginnings and Earthbound both use X in the years that the games take place, so we don't really know what year it is. It could be any year from 1980 to 1989. The same way with Earthbound, it could be 1990 to 1999. So, Earthbound Beginnings would take place in 1980, when Lloyd was 11, and Earthbound takes place in 1999. 1980 to 1999 is 19 years. 19 plus 11 is 30. It even mentions at the beginning of Earthbound Beginnings that George and Maria were kidnapped in 1900, and 80 years later the events of Earthbound Beginnings takes place, which means that 19 years later, after the events of the game, Lloyd or Dr. Andonuts would have had Jeff when he was 17 years old. So, Dr. Andonuts remembered his fight with Gygas all those years ago, and how Gygas promised he would come back to get his revenge. So Dr. Andonuts devoted his life to science, and not being able to take proper care of his son Jeff, put him in the Winters boarding school until Jeff was contacted by Paula. Then when Jeff goes to get the Skyrunner from his father, the Doctor realizes this is how he will be able to contribute to the fight, to help save the world again, just like he did all those years ago, by helping his son and his friends fight against Gygas. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. What are your thoughts on this theory? Have you heard this theory before? Have you ever played Earthbound before? Do you even like Earthbound? Let me know in the comments below. I just want to let you all know this video was so much fun to make. I tried to inject a little bit of humor into it, and I'm honestly really very proud of this video. I plan on doing a lot more theory videos soon, so if you liked this video, please be sure to hit that like button. If you didn't, that other button seems to work pretty well too. If you're new here, please consider subscribing for a plethora of gaming-related discussions, reviews, tutorial, and theory videos. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.